Okay, so I've got my hands on a TB-03 bassline. So these things, when they initially came out in 1982, they kind of failed commercially because they were just so difficult to program. So we're going to find out in this video how bad is this thing to program. But we're not working with the original, we're working with the boutique model here, which is like the re-release in the boutique range. I think this has included like a more normal sequencer, as you know they're aware that the original was a bit of a mission. But yeah, we're going to find out. This is going to be a tutorial. I'm just going to be going through and discovering how it works myself. So let's do this. So a little bit of background. The TB-03 is a sound module that uses cutting-edge modelling technology to faithfully model the ROLAND TB-03, which went on sale in 1982. In addition to its compact size, it allows battery-powered operation and contains a small speaker. Yes, that's very similar to the other boutiques. So you've probably seen the JU06, which is on my channel. I haven't done a tutorial for it, but I've done a few jams. But yeah, if we just try and turn this over. Oh god, it's gone off. It's gone off. Yeah, if we actually, where is the battery thing? I thought it was on the back. Oh, it comes off like this. Oh, it's got like a whole stand. I didn't even realise. But here we go. This will be the batteries. There you go. So it takes 4 AA batteries. They go in there. So this would be cool. You could take this into a field, you know, just you and a pair of headphones. There's the little speaker. Obviously, that's not amazing, but it is like, you know, if you just want to like have a quick little jam with it, why not? So yeah, it can operate on batteries or it can operate on USB power. I've got the USB plugged in there. I'll unplug it just to show you. It's that kind of USB. So it says here, when turning the unit over, be careful as to protect the buttons and knobs from damage. Yeah, that might have been useful to read before I flipped it. Now guys, please remember to subscribe because apparently over 90% of you are watching my videos, but you're not actually subscribed. So I'm going to put it out there right now. Let's get on with it. So how do I record a pattern? Well, first of all, I think we need to look at this dial. So this is your mode dial. So essentially you have patterns and you have tracks. Now tracks like your song mode. So you link your different patterns together into a song. So you make your patterns first and then you link your patterns together to make a track, as it's called here. So we have 4 options here. We have play and write for pattern and we have play and write for track. So somehow I've turned it off. Be good if it was on. There we go. Right, so if I put it in play mode on pattern, now I can select one of these memory banks and play it. So let's... What the hell is that? This actually has a delay built into it. I don't know if the original did. I don't think it did. But yeah, I need to turn that down a bit. I'll just turn it off for the second. There we go. That's the kind of thing. So this was supposed to replace a bass guitar player. That doesn't sound like any kind of bass guitar I've ever heard. Yeah, so if you don't know, this was this did fail commercially, but then underground music producers started buying them in like second-hand shops where they'd just been like discarded, and they basically started making like acid, and that's where you get the classic sound from. So yeah, we're in play mode and you can just select different patterns. You got your tempo here. Goes to 300. Yeah, now we're talking. Cool, so yeah, it's pretty fun to play with. The next thing we want to look at is the fact that you have these pattern groups. Now, if you look here, there's 4 pattern groups. So if the outer ring here, you can see these Roman numerals. We've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So if I put this on either 1 or 2, we're actually just on pattern group 1, so that's going to be exactly the same. And these will hold you these are like your different pattern banks. So that's a great one, isn't it? So let's go to pattern 2. Or sorry, what am I saying? Pattern group 2. Should hear a different one. I think you have to start and stop it again. There we go. So you can't really do that on the fly. I can't switch back to 1 and then just hit that. Well, and it would like it won't just change. I've got to literally start and stop it again. I like that one. Simple, you know. So you can transpose a pattern. So while it's playing, I can hold pitch mode button, and then I can choose a note on the keyboard here. And there you go, I've transposed it to a G sharp. Bloody amazing. Okay, another thing you can do, when you're in this mode, you're just on the tempo, but if you long hold the tempo button, I can change the swing. Going to minus swing. Let's put it on 0. And then let's give it some swing. That wasn't a very good one for swing. Let's hit. Yeah, I had a better one earlier for swing, but I can't find one now. Temporarily changing the number of steps in a pattern. Hold down time mode button and turn the value knob to change the number of steps in the pattern. Okay, let's try that. So if I hold down this button, okay, we can see we've got 16 steps. So let's change it to 11. Let's go to... Oh wait, did that even work? Ah, it's a temporary change, so only will last for as long as I actually hold the button down. So more of a live performance jam feature maybe. How do you record a pattern then? So like I said, there's 2 ways to do this. There's the step mode, which is the new way, and then there's the original mode, which was notoriously a bit weird. People didn't like it. So let's look at the original mode first. First thing you have to do is you have to make sure you're in original mode, which caught me out. So hold that. When it says function, whilst keep holding that, you can turn and we'll get to mode. Kind of looks like it says node, because I guess the screen isn't big enough, but there you go. That's right. And then you've got original and step. So you put it in original and now you're done. Right, so now you need to select which slot you want to record your new pattern into. So I talked about we've got the 4 pattern groups. What I didn't say is that we've got 3 pattern sections. So these 2 switches here, we've got pattern section A and pattern section B. So if we play number 1 on A, so we're in pattern group 4 and we're on pattern section A on pattern number 1. So that's what we got there. If we go to B, and now we listen. So we've got a different one. Now, if you look at the manual, it says you've got 96 patterns. So I was a bit confused at first because I'm thinking, hang on, we got A and B, 8 on each, that's 16. 16 times 4, that's not 96. Turns out there is actually pattern section C, which is not very clear if you just look at the unit, but it turns out if you press both of these, we're now in C. And there you go, we get a different pattern. So the first thing I want to do is I want to select the one I want to go into. So I'm going to go for, I'm in pattern group 4, I'm in pattern section A, and I'm on pattern 1, and I'm going to clear that by holding that and then pressing pattern clear. So now it should be empty, and it is. So next thing you're told to do is set the number of steps you want. So there's two ways of doing this. The first way is you hold function and then you press this button which has step underneath it, and you enter in, you just press it for the amount of steps you actually want. Okay. The other way is you press down this button which is in time mode, and then you just use the value dial. So I actually entered 9 steps there. I wanted 8, so I'll set that to 8. So that's your two ways. So I'm making a 8-step pattern now. So the next thing you need to do is you go into pitch mode, and we'll enter the pitches for our 8 steps. So let's just make a really simple one. Okay, so let's play it. And obviously I'm not going to hear anything because I haven't entered any timing in yet. So next thing to do is go to time mode, and we need to give each step a note value. So it can either be a 16th note, a tie, or rest. So let's just make them all 16th notes to keep it simple. So I enter them all in. When I get to the end, it switches off. Now we should be able to hear it. Now we can make some changes. So let's say I want to put an accent on the last note. To do that, I have to go back to pitch mode, select the step that I want to put the accent on, which is 8, and then I have to hold down the tap button and then press that accent button. Now if we play it, we can hear the accent on step 8. We can also put slides in. Let's try and put a slide on 7. Yep, there you go. We can go back to time mode, and we can make maybe note 2 a tie by pressing the tie button, and maybe we'll have a rest on step 6. Now let's hear what we got. So you can see how you write a pattern there in original mode. It is a bit of, there's a lot of changing around into different modes, holding down certain keys to shift into different functions. So you really do need to learn what all those buttons are. It's not intuitive. You definitely have to read the manual. I keep forgetting what buttons to press to do what. So now let's look at step mode, the new mode they put into this, and we'll see if that's any better. So we'll go back to mode and we'll switch to step mode. Okay, so let's make something in step mode, and we'll start from scratch. So the first thing we'll do is clear the pattern. So we'll hold down the pattern and press pattern clear, and we've got nothing. And now we'll set the number of steps we want. So you see it's gone back to 16. We'll just do 8 steps again. And now you need to go into pitch mode like you did last time. And now you can enter your pitches. So, okay, let's play it. So this time it's automatically given them all a value of 16th note, whereas last time it didn't. In the original mode we had to go into time mode and then say what they were. So straight away it's done that for us, so that's easier for a start. The other thing that's different is as I now scroll through the steps, it shows me on the keyboard what they're currently set to. And if I try to go to time mode, I can't. It's basically just one mode now. You go to pitch mode and you can just do the time as you go. So to put the timing in, you go to the step, and rather than going into time mode, you just hold the time mode button and then press the button, press what you want it to be. So if I want step 5 to be a tie, I just hold that and then press tie. So Step mode is very similar. It just saves you a bit of time because it just defaults all the notes immediately to 16ths. Gives you a bit more feedback when you're going through. Also, when you go through the steps, it won't play all of them like it did in original mode. It was a bit confusing because say I'd set it to 8 steps, it was still showing me all the 16 even though I wasn't using them, and you're kind of thinking, well, hang on, what's going on? That could confuse somebody quite easily. So now, yeah, I think in this mode it just is a bit. It's a bit less confusing, definitely. So one thing I think I forgot to mention when you're doing a pattern, if we go into pattern write mode, let's play. You can change the grid. So each step is essentially a triplet instead of a 16th note. Yeah, so we got essentially it will be the length of a quarter note. So you do this by, I think you press function and then you press this button. So let's take a quick look at some of the other controls you have, which are more fun. Okay, so first of all, you've got a waveform selector, so we can either have sawtooth or square. So that's sawtooth. And square. And then you've got these dials at the top, which you can use to change the sound. So you've got tuning dial. So you've got a 3-octave range on this tuning dial. And it snaps to the middle, which is quite nice. You've got a cut-off frequency. You've got your resonance, which gives you that classic sound. Pump that to 100%. You've got envelope modulation. We've got a decay dial. And then we got the accent amount. So if you've got an accented note, this controls the sound of those ones. Okay, we've also got an overdrive built in. We've also got a delay. Which goes pretty heavy. Pretty much goes into nothingness when you just blast it. So you've got some connectivity here. You've got CV and gate and trigger. So if you've got any modular gear or any other gear that receives those kind of signals, then you can either use this to trigger that or vice versa. Okay, so now we're going to look at how you write a track. How do you write a track? Well, obviously we've got to put it in track write mode, and we've got 7 tracks we can write, 7 slots. But one important thing to note is that we can only use the patterns from the pattern group attached to those tracks. So track 1 and 2, I can only use patterns from pattern group 1. So essentially I can make 2 tracks out of any patterns from pattern group 1. If I go to pattern group 2, I can make 2 tracks with those. And track 7 can only use pattern group 4. So if we go to pattern group 1, so to write, you have to run it. Go to the bar you want to edit, so we'll start on 1. At this point, you can choose a pattern. When you've chosen the pattern you want to be on that bar, you just press the right button. That'll take you to the next bar, and then you can choose a pattern for that bar. And then you press right, and now you're on to the next one, and you just keep going. Whatever you want, I'm just making it up randomly here. So when I get to another bar, I can set my DC on this, for example, so I can press that button. So if we go back to play mode now, it should go to bar 8, and then it should go back to the beginning. So let's reset and play. So it's coming up to 8. Will it reset? There we go. You can go in and you can delete single bars. I can't see a way that you can delete like a whole track. I think you just have to overwrite or delete single bars. So to delete single bars, you need to go back into write mode and then go to the bar you want to delete. So let's say I want to delete 6, and then you hold function and then you press C# key or delete. So if I go back to play mode, in theory now, it will loop at 7 because I've just deleted one of the steps, or the bars. So let's see what it does. Yeah, there you go, because 7 was originally 8, but we just removed one from the sequence. So now that bar has remembered that that's where the DC was set, and now we're seeing it go back to the beginning. So just like you can delete a bar, you can insert a bar. So you go to a bar using your value dial, and then it will insert it before this bar here. So it will be put there. I need to go to write mode to do this again, and it's the same as delete, but now we're going to press D# because you can see that's where it says insert. So you hold down function, press that, and now you need to set up what you want to be on that bar. So I choose something, press right, that's done. If we go back to play mode now, we should see it go back to 8 because we've put a step back in, or a bar back in. So let's go back to the beginning, play it. And it's coming up to 7. And yeah, it's gone to 8 and back to the beginning. So there you can see how you can write a track and you can delete bars and insert them back in. That's pretty much how you do it. So it just looks like you have to overwrite what's already in there to make a new one. Okay, so let's just take a look at the function menu now and the settings that you can actually set up on the machine. So if you hold the function button down, you can now select something from the menu. So if we select channel, this now lets us select the MIDI channel. Press it again to come out. Let's look. We got sync options. So this is your MIDI clock source. So it can be on auto. So if there is a MIDI clock signal coming through, it will use that. Otherwise, it will just use the internal clock source. Okay, we've got an auto off feature. So if you turn this on, it will automatically turn itself off if there's been no activity after 30 minutes. So that's quite nice if you want to save your batteries if you forget to turn it off. This is the light demo. So when you don't use it, it will start running some lights, LED light display. You can turn this off. Then you got your mode, your recording mode, which we've already talked about. So here we've got overdrive, and there's actually 3 types you can choose. And we've got high gain overdrive, which is the same as the Boss OD2 pedal, if you know that. Then we've got number 2, which just gives a basic traditional distortion sound. And number 3 produces a distortion sound with both the smoothness of an overdrive along with a deep distortion. So kind of like a combination. So let's just have a quick listen to these. Let me just set. Let's go to the distortion. So we'll set on number 1. Number 2. Number 3. And you've also got an option for delay type. So we've got tape echo, digital delay, or just a reverb. And you access that again by going into the function menu, and then you can see their delay type. And we've got tape, digital, or reverb. So let's set it on tape. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Let's go and try digital. And lastly, let's try just the reverb. So yeah, they're not too bad sounding actually. I do like the tape echo. And you can also set the delay tempo sync. So you can either have it synced to the tempo of the device, or you can just turn it off, and then you can just use the time dial to get more interesting results. So I think that about wraps it up. So please subscribe and give it a like, and I'll see you next time.